Have you ever considered suicide?
Yes. I took an entire bottle of Advil and brought a knife with me into my room to make it really scary. But I knew that I didn't want to hurt myself with the knife. But I was willing to go as far as take the whole bottle of pills.
All right, this is the heavy one I brought up.
Okay.
Have you ever considered committing suicide?
I mean, no.
I have not.
No, I have not.
I have not.
No.
No. Yeah.
Is that something you'd be willing to talk more about?
No.
Have you ever considered suicide?
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I have.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I have considered it.
Actually, I called the crisis hotline on Saturday because I've had a very rough go in my life. A lot of death, doing hospice care for loved ones, and so it just became overwhelming.
Have you ever considered suicide?
Oh yeah. Whoo-wee. I mean, I'm in the happiest time of my life, but I've been like in depressive phases, like where I was like doing fentanyl and just hoping I was going to die just for months. Like I've had suicide be like a thought in the back of my head since I was a child.
First time I felt like killing myself was when I was 6. And it's kind of just been a thing since then. Pretty much a daily struggle.
Have you ever considered committing suicide?
Yes, I have.
Yes.
Several times when I was much younger.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what was going on that put you in like your worst state?
Not really having like a goal or a purpose.
I felt invisible, underappreciated, abused. I just felt like, what was this for?
I just thought if I were dead, maybe people would care.
I was struggling with childhood abuse.
My parents are going through like a really, really heavy divorce.
I did get picked on pretty heavily growing up. I even got I guess you could call it a death threat in my locker.
I have borderline personality disorder, so I've just struggled with depression, manic bullshit for like ever.
I have a nerve disorder in my face, but I had like one really bad one where I felt like I had like an axe or something in my head, and I just was like, this might be the only way to like not deal with this.
I was born to a family where my dad was only 17 years old and my mom was only 18 years old. And for like the first 15, 16 years of my life, I felt like a really big burden all the time. Like they could have had much better existences had I not been around. And that definitely led to some really heavy suicidal thoughts at times for me.
Have you ever considered committing suicide?
I have not. I have never contemplated suicide.
I've never seriously considered taking my life.
Not seriously.
I have never considered suicide.
Because I'm like scared of death.
I've never had reasons to ever even think of committing suicide.
Has it affected your life through somebody else at all?
I've known people who talked about doing it.
You know, someone who's successful at it.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yep.
Anybody close to you that you're willing to talk about?
No, I think it'd be better not to.
I was recently affected by it actually 2 weeks ago. It rips families apart. It's really bad.
Have you ever considered committing suicide?
Have I ever considered suicide? Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had some dark seasons in my life, I think.
I've never attempted it, but I have had a few partial hospitalization stays just because it was on my mind. It's more suicidal thoughts than going through with the whole thing. So,
when I was young, I considered it, but I didn't have necessarily a plan.
Do you want to know if I seriously thought about it or if I've actually attempted it?
Have you actually attempted it?
I have actually attempted to kill myself, yes.
I've attempted like twice.
I tried slitting my wrist.
I swallowed a bunch of pills and instantly regretted it. I made myself throw up.
I drove myself to the hospital and I was there overnight.
Got my stomach pumped. Was in the hospital for 3 weeks. Terrible. It was terrible.
I actually had a gun at the time, and I was gonna do it. Like, it was close. But then I had called my mom, and I just, like, you know, broke down to her.
My mom ended up like coming home, like kind of in the process, like as I wanted to like do it. So I decided like I didn't want her to like find me like that.
I was in the bathroom, and I remember looking at all the pills that I could take, and she knocked on the door and said, "Mommy, I love you." And I didn't do it.
I thought about my siblings. I thought that I'm writing their book too, so I can't stop writing because I'm doing it for them.
You know, I'd be leaving behind my other sister, and my other sister really looks up to me, and I couldn't like do that to her. And I'm sure it would have hurt my parents too.
The main thing that stopped me was just thinking about how much my family and friends would miss me.
I remember the night of, actually, I was going through my contacts and I was calling people and nobody was answering. And I was like, you know what? If this last person doesn't answer me, I think this just might be it. And then my friend Jojo, he's like my brother, he answered and he took me to, you know, our friend's house, and they all got around me and poured their love out to me, and they saved my life that night.
What have been some major factors in preventing you from committing suicide?
A big one was the students I had when I was teaching. That was pretty much the turning point. Like, ever since teaching and having students that actually like cared about me and learned from me, I pretty much had every reason to live every day.
If it's not going away and it's like really serious every day, you should totally go see a doctor. Because I saw a doctor and it saved my life for sure.
Being diagnosed and medicated correctly has just changed my life, and I'm not gonna say I don't have bad days, because I definitely do, but those thoughts have subsided, and I'm very lucky to be here.
What helps you not be in that space where you're thinking about it?
Definitely my animals, my horses, because they're so grounding. Like you can't feel anywhere but in the moment when you're with them. And I think that's a big part of feeling suicidal, is you're not in the moment. You're in the past, or you're worried about what is the future.
Now I kind of really throw myself into music, and that is a really nice therapeutic thing for me to do.
Like keeping myself busy, art and like music, hanging out with friends, and just like spending a lot of time with myself and like learning to love myself has helped a lot too.
In the darkest times, it was reaching out to friends, and actually even just reaching out to strangers on the internet. You know, I remember in the worst of it, finding chat rooms that were anonymous, just meant for depression, just to be able to talk to people.
What it comes down to is your friends are like your crutch. So I really relied on them and what they said, you know.
Went to therapy for quite a while. We're doing good now.
I'm definitely in a place now where I feel very comfortable and safe.
I got a happy life right now, so I'm not really going back to that.
I don't know, I don't ever see myself killing myself at this point, which is good. I'm kind of past that really heavy patch, I think.
The things that helped me the most when I was dealing with suicidal thoughts was being able to have people to talk to about it. Because I think one of the biggest problems right now with suicide and how our culture handles it here is that it's this like icky taboo thing that you need to stay away from and don't touch with like a 10-foot pole, when in reality we need to be talking about it, and it hurts to talk about it and it sucks and you feel really vulnerable, but you need to be able to normalize it, and you need to have that normalized.